We're going to look at the first revelation supposedly given to Muhammad in the cave of Hira, and I'm going to explain how exactly it is demonic and why the origins of Islam are satanic. So we can see it says, he's in the cave of Hira. It says, then the angel came to him and asked him to read. The prophet replied, I do not know how to read. The prophet added, the angel caught me forcefully and pressed me so hard that I could not bear it any more. He then released me and again and asked me to read, and I replied, I do not know how to read. Thereupon he caught me again and pressed me a second time till I could not bear it any more. He then released me and again asked me to read. Again I replied, I do not know how to read, or shall I read? Thereupon he caught me for the third time and pressed me and then released me and said, read. In the name of our Lord, who has created all things that exist, created man from a clot, read, and your Lord is the most gracious. This is, of course, Surah chapter 96. But it continues on. It says, then the messenger of Allah returned with the inspiration and with his heart beating severely. Then he went to Khadijah, that's his first wife. It says, and she said, cover me, cover me. Then they covered him till his fear was over. After that, he told her everything that had happened, and she said, I fear that something had happened to me. Khadijah replied, never. By Allah, Allah will never disgrace you. You have kept good relations with your kin, and you help the poor and the destitute. You serve your guests graciously, and you assist the deserving, calamity afflicted, and it continues on. But the point is here, did you notice what happened here on the left side of the screen? All right, so this supposed angel comes and he squeezes him, and he tells him to read and recite these passages here. And Muhammad says, I cannot do that. And then the angel supposedly, of course, gets violent, and he squeezes him to the point where Muhammad says he cannot bear it. And yet this happens 3 times. And so this is a very violent interaction. And yet we know this is violent because whenever Muhammad leaves this place, his heart's beating fast and he's scared, and he asks his wife to cover him because he's fearful. And he's just so terrified that he even thinks something terrible has happened to him. And yet here we also have, with regards to the individuals here, her Khadijah and her cousin, and they convince Muhammad that he came in contact with an angel, and they specifically say it's Gabriel. But the point is, those Khadijah and her cousin, they were never there in the cave. They don't know what the man experienced, and yet they can try to convince him that he is a prophet of God. Yet we see the violent episode that happened with regards to Muhammad and this demon. I say it's a demon because you don't see angels interacting with prophets in this manner. You see angels whenever they come, they bring peace to the situation, not violence with regards to interacting with people whom the Lord wants them to fulfill something in his will. We can also see, though, that we know that it is a demon because Paul says in 2 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 14, it says, and it's no wonder, for Satan disguised himself as an angel of light. So once again, this makes sense because Khadijah and her cousin are saying, well, that was Gabriel, and you're a prophet of the Lord. And so they're trying to put a positive spin on this, and yet the man was viciously assaulted by this being. And yet he's so terrified that he cowers at with his wife, and he wants her to comfort her, and then he explains what's going on. But the point is, the violence is really astounding, and this is not a surprise for individuals whom study the Bible, because Satan is violent. Satan, according to Jesus in John chapter 8, verse 44, says, you are of your father the devil, and you want to carry out your father's desires. He was a murderer from the beginning and does not stand in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he tells a lie, he speaks from his own nature, because he is a liar and the father of lies. Now, just to say that there are some true aspects within the Quran does not mean it's not from Satan, because, even in the temptations of Christ, Satan quoted the scriptures accurately in Matthew chapter 4, for example. But the point is that at the very core of Satan is a lie. And the lie that Islam has swallowed, hook, line, and sinker, is that Muhammad truly came in contact with the angel Gabriel, and that's not the case, because we're going to see exactly how Gabriel deals with people in this previous scriptures. Because the Quran says in chapter 10 of of the Quran, that if you're in doubt, Muhammad, about what will you reveal to you, go to the people who have been reading the scriptures before you. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to see exactly how Gabriel interacts with people. We can see in Daniel chapter 8, verse 15 through 19, it says, while I, Daniel, was watching the vision and trying to understand it, there stood before me someone who appeared to be a man. I heard a human voice calling from the middle of Ula. Gabriel explained the vision to this man. So he approached me where I was standing. When he came near, I was terrified and fell face down. Son of man, he said to me, understand that this vision refers to the time of the end. While he was speaking to me, I fell into a deep sleep with my face to the ground. Then he touched me and made me stand up and said, I am here to tell you what will happen at the conclusion of the time of wrath, because it refers to the appointed time of the end. So here we have Gabriel coming to Daniel, and Gabriel is going to explain what's going to happen. We continue on to look at Daniel chapter 9, verse 21 through 23. It says, while I was praying, Gabriel, the man I had seen in the first vision, reached me in my extreme weariness about the time of the evening offering. He gave me this explanation. Daniel, I've come now to give you understanding. At the beginning of your petitions, an answer went out, and I have come to give it, for you are treasured by God. So consider the message and understand the vision. So once again, we see Gabriel providing clarification. With regards to the cave of Hira, we just have the demonic force being violent and telling Muhammad to read. And so we can see the stark difference between the clarity that the angel Gabriel gives and the confusion and violence that the demonic force gives Muhammad in the cave of Hira. We can also see in the Gospel of Luke, with regards to the birth of John the Baptist and Jesus. This is what we have. It says in Luke 1:13, it says, but the angel said to him, do not be afraid, Zechariah, because your prayer has been heard. Your wife Elizabeth will bear you a son, and you will call his name John. So here we see once again that the angel appears to the priest John, and he's terrified that he sees him, and yet the being says, do not be afraid, Zechariah, because I've come to answer your prayers. Basically what it's saying. So we look at Luke 1:18 through 20. It says, how can this be, Zechariah asked the angel, for I am an old man and my wife is well along in years. The angel answered him, I am Gabriel, who stands in the presence of God, and I was sent to speak to you and tell you this good news. Listen now, you will become silent and unable to speak until the day these things take place, because you did not believe my words, which will be fulfilled in the proper time. So here we can see, even in the midst of the judgment for Zechariah not believing Gabriel, there's a point in time where this judgment does, it lifts up. He's no longer under judgment. That's only because he didn't believe what Gabriel originally said. But I want us to see, though, once again, that the angel, when he initially comes, he brings comfort. The angel or demonic force, of course, the Muslims want you to believe it's the angel Gabriel, but there's no indication of that with regards to in the text, besides with regards to the cousin, because he's just making stuff up to try to make Muhammad feel better, because the individual was not there. But we can see that once again that the biblical Gabriel brings comfort and judgment when necessary. But we can also see, though, in Luke 1:26, it says, in the 6th month, the angel Gabriel was sent by God to the town in Galilee called Nazareth. So here it says, and the angels came to her and said, greetings, favored woman, the Lord is with you. Then the angel told her, do not be afraid, Mary, for you have found favor with God. So this is, of course, Gabriel interacting with Mary, and he's telling her that you have been favored by God, and ultimately you will be the one whom gives birth to the Messiah. And here's your side note. In Islam, Muslims do not know what the term Messiah means. They must go outside the Quran in order to figure it out. So that's just some trivia for you. So let's look at Luke 1:34 and 35. It says, Mary asked the angel, how can this be, since I have not had sexual relations with a man? The angel replied to her, the Holy Spirit will come upon you, and the power of the Most High will overshadow you. Therefore, the Holy One to be born will be called the Son of God. So here, this is also important because Gabriel's telling Mary that the child that will be born to you, Mary, will be the Son of God, which is exactly what Islam denies about Jesus, which is kind of uh, ironic considering that the Quran claims to confirm the previous scriptures. Well, obviously it does not, because Allah goes out of his way to explain that he does not have a son. Now, of course, let's look at Luke 1:38. It says, "See, I am the Lord's servant," said Mary. "May it be as you have said." Then the angel left her. So once again, we see that Gabriel fulfilled his job that he did, and of course, then he left. So the point is that whenever Gabriel comes, he brings clarification and comfort. He doesn't bring, pain and suffering and violence. And so that's where we can see the primary difference between the demonic origins of Islam with the violence in the cave of Hira, and look at see how Gabriel in the Bible interacted with individuals. Even whenever they saw him, of course they were terrified, but yet he also brought comfort. And that's what I want us to see, that the true Gabriel brings comfort and understanding. The demonic force, the demon in the cave of Hira, brings terror and confusion.